stops the sharing the link. I will have it recorded, so then later on you guys can pop up and see. Is that alright? Yes, maybe, no, perhaps.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So don't mind if if you guys want to just come in and they speak loud, so then I can hear. As you can see, kind of really far from the computer, but otherwise that's it. So today, guys, what we are gonna do? We are gonna do two preparations in here. We are gonna do strawberry sorbet, okay, and chocolate fondant. Of course, those two desserts is quite easy to make. However, there is a little bit of interaction that you need to do. Pay attention. Like the difference between sorbet, sherbet, and ice cream. Okay, first of all, sorbet, it is a nice preparation, okay, made basically of fruits, could be vegetables as well, but made basically by fruits, and that there is no milk content or butter, so there is no sort of milk fat or any sort of butter or cream or anything related. So mostly sorbets will be okay to eat for vegans or for vegans or for vegetarians. Then a second, we have the sherbet. The sherbet, it is an ice cream, kind of a fruity ice cream based. That is or is a sorbet with the presence of milk. Okay, so it is basically that is just a little bit of a milk fat into the sherbet, so it will be a little bit more creamier. While the sorbet, it will be icy. What will give the creaminess of a sorbet? It is actually the syrup that we're going to be making. But then, if you want an extra layer of a creaminess, you can put a little bit of a milk powder or milk in it, so it makes a little bit slightly creamier. Then we have as well the ice cream, that to be considered an ice cream, it needs to have at least 10 to 20% milk fat into it. Okay, so there is a lot of debate in there, what is an ice cream or what is not, but you know, so however, here we are. So basically what we are going to be needing is for the sorbet, it is here, don't know if you guys can see, this is a strawberries. Okay, we are going to be need, of course, sugar, because it is pretty much sorbet. It is pretty much a syrup, a kind of a thickened syrup that being blitzed with a fruit puree and put it into the ice cream machine in here. Okay, so and it's churned together to be to become an ice cream. So that being said, so that here is my strawberries in there. Okay, I'm gonna use my sugar in there. Also, I'll be using a little bit of a lemon juice to balance a little bit the acidity. And actually, there is some pectin into the fruits. Okay, so that's why we can kind of get jams made of fruits. So the pectin, it is kind of a thickener that it will help to stabilize the fruit. So it will only stabilize in the presence of lemons, okay, or of acidity, actually. Then we are going to be using some hot water or some water, you know, that we are going to bring to a boil. And then, of course, we are talking as well about corn syrup or glucose. If you have glucose, you can use glucose. However, I don't have glucose here at home. So I have a little bit of golden syrup or honey. So we're gonna use a little bit of both of them. And because I just like the flavor, and actually, I don't know if you guys ever had it, balsamic vinegar with strawberry goes extremely well. So I'm gonna put a little bit of a dash this on whenever we're gonna be making. So just now the quantities, okay? I'm gonna go for a 400 or a pound, 454 grams of strawberries. Then I'm gonna go for a cup of sugar or 198 grams of sugar, okay? Then I'm gonna go for 78 grams of glucose, or actually combine the syrup and the honey, and about 50 grams of lemon juice. So it will be about a half to a full lemon. Okay, so let me just actually I don't need the water. That it is about a cup of water, so that it is about 227 grams of water in there. So just basics, principles as principles. Let me just remove things from here as I presented this for you guys. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna juice my lemon in here. Okay, it's a really handy thing, those juicers, you know, so it will prevent a lot of waste going on in there. So, okay, so what I need is about 50 to 60 grams of so I just put a weight scale in there. Wow, that is 50 grams in there, so that will do. Not gonna get another one in there. So in here we have, okay, actually let me just put this in there as I'm getting in there. So I'm gonna get some hot water in here just to speed up the process a little bit. So I have a nice cooker tap at home, so it gets me boiling water. So 227 in here. Yep, that's it. Go on in there. So 227. Take these out. So now, guys, let me just move this up there. Gonna put it on in there. Gonna put my sugar in here just to make my light syrup. Okay, so once I put the sugar in there and my water, I don't want to touch it anymore. Okay, just leave it the way it is. It will be a lot better than that. If you start mixing, try to mix it up, it will start making crystallized and all this stuff, so we don't want that. We are going to bring it to a boil, and once it's starting to a boil, that should be happening quite soon, then we are going to heat about 5 minutes into the boiling process, so then we keep it, we can start keep going in here. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get all my strawberries and put it in a mixer, okay, or in a blender, mixer. You can use a hand gun if you want it. However, I had an accident early on and my hand blitzer is not working anymore. So then in here, again, I'm gonna put it and weight it in here, because I'm gonna put all my lemon juice in there, okay, And I'm gonna put now the glucose with in there, the glucose or the honey or whatever we are using in here. And that it's supposed to be about 78 grams. So what the glucose will do in here? It is give a little bit of the texture, the nice smooth texture that we have on the sorbets. You can also, if you wanna, you can also put on a ice cream stabilizer. I have, let me just get it in here, just for you guys to see. Okay, in here, ice cream stabilizer. So we can use it in that to put, to improve the smoothness. The only thing, what happens with these ones, if you are using for a sorbet, this is great for ice creams, right? For ice creams, they are fantastic. However, for sorbet, it gives a little bit of a kind of a slimy texture on the sorbet whenever it is melting again, because it becomes kind of a frothy sort of things going on. So just keep that in mind. If you are doing, if you're serving, of course, your sorbet really ice cold, that would be really fine. And otherwise, it gets a little bit of a slimy texture. The proportion that we use, it is about a 0.5%, so 0.5% of the weight of the main ingredients. In this case, it would be the strawberry. So it would be about a 0.5 gram or so, or maybe a gram of a strawberry of stabilizer in there. However, I'm not gonna use the stabilizer. And like I said to you guys, as well, we would you can put up to 3% of the weight of balsamic vinegar. However, I'm just gonna go in here with a little bit of a dash of happiness. So that being done, so now the only thing that I'm waiting for, because my strawberries were a little bit frozen, okay, so I froze them down instead of getting fresh ones. So I have a little bit of leftovers strawberries in the freezer. So then I got them, put it in there. I didn't thaw too much because as we needed to kind of hurry up the process a little bit for the ice cream making. So then what I did is just let it thaw a little bit outside of the temperature. Now I'm gonna pour on the syrup, the warm syrup, another 2 minutes in there, and then I pour on the syrup in here, and then I'm gonna bleach to a smooth consistency. Then here's part of my ice cream machine in there. Then I'm gonna get in here and then strain all the liquid in there. So then I can build up, put on the machine, put it back together, put the parts together in there. Actually, just use this one here. So I will just be straining there. Oops. Another minute. Then we can, once we have all that kind of go through, then we can get going with our preparation in here. Another minute. just always remember to wear a little bit of a hail protection. Let me turn on the machine. Actually, just put it in there. That's working. Fantastic. So working it is. I can kind of let it start going, the machine, a little bit if I want to start freezing. Okay. So what happens, what ice cream actually is, you know, my syrup is done. What ice cream is, what pretty much every ice cream machine, the way it works is, there is a coil, a cold coil in there that freezes, it's like a fridge that freezes, and the side of the containers will start to get cold, of course, so it will start to freeze. Then at the spatula around, it doesn't really matter what sort of ice cream machine is, because they work pretty much at the same way. So it scrapes the side and it kind of keeps churning all the time. So that's why we know whenever the machine it is cold or is not cold or so on, and that's the way the ice cream is made. Okay, so in here now, I'm just gonna put it in there. Okay, that my syrup. There, a little bit of water here, because soon enough we're going to use that one. So in here, just put the lid on. Okay. So now I'm processing all. Sorry a little bit about the noise. So it is a very handy mixer, this one here. Actually, it is my wife's. So, and have it in there. So in here, let me just put this one back in here. I'll turn the corner there just to make it easier for you guys to follow up later. And as well, you guys can see, but I have another camera up in there, so I can give you guys a close-up later on. So in here now, we'll just put it in there. Okay. So now I'm just put it there. And why I did use frozen berries? Okay, if I use fresh berries, okay, what happens is I would do exactly the same process, the same way. Okay, if I was using fresh berries or a fresh strawberry in this case. However, now that I have kind of strained all my strain all the strawberry in here, I would just put this back into into a container and then leave it in the fridge for about 3-4 hours. You know, just to get it the temperature to cool down so I could put it in the machine. So what I did using the frozen berries, I just kind of shortened a little bit the time that all this was going to happen, so I can kind of just now put it on in there. And now, voila, the ice cream will start churning there, and that is the way it's going to happen. Okay, so now in about half an hour, 40 minutes or so, I will have an ice cream or a sorbet, not ready because it needs to set a little bit in the freezer, but it will be mostly frozen, and I will show you guys what the texture looks like. So now escaping moving forward now, we're going to start actually our hot dessert, our fondant, chocolate fondant. Okay, so for the chocolate fondant, what we will need is egg yolks. So I have some egg yolks in here on this container in here, about 80 grams of egg yolks. Okay, then we are going to need butter. So in here I have 200 grams of butter. And here's a little bit of extra butter that I'm going to use for the molds. Then in here I have my chocolate droplets. Okay, so 200 grams of chocolate droplets as well. So in here I have 4 eggs. Okay, that I'm gonna break the eggs in here. So I'm going to use those whole eggs. However, it is parts by parts, so I'm just going to get it in there. So again, here, I'm going to separate the whites from the yolks. Now, as I always kind of say to you guys, and keep it all the time, the best way to crack an egg is not in a corner, it's not on a mixing bowl, it's not on a mixing there. It is always on a flat surface. Okay, so you get a crack in the eggs. Of course, not too strong. Okay, otherwise, yeah, you know, it will smash the egg. But you just make a little kind of deep crashing. And then it will crack. Whenever it cracks, with your thumb you put it in there, and then you kind of open up. Sometimes will work perfectly, sometimes not. But again, here we are. Then okay, so again in there. Then voila, there we have it. So, okay, so my egg whites that I knew earlier on, my egg yolks in here, my egg whites. So 50 grams of sugar. So I will put my sugar in there, and if you guys can guess what I'm gonna do it in here now, the next process, it is what? Yeah, that's it. You know, I'm gonna cream those two together in here. Okay, so while I'm creaming that one, the last ingredient that I will need is a little bit of flour. So actually, it is it's almost flourless, this recipe. So anything that I asked is about 15 grams of flour that you can use gluten-free flour if you're doing gluten-free version of the cake. And that actually, what is going to happen, it is just a kind of a bind together, help to bind together, so whenever it is start cooking, the flour side will go to the extremities, and it gives a little bit of a texture to your cake or to your fondant. Okay, so now we need to melt the butter and the chocolate together. Okay, there is quite a few different ways of doing that. Okay, that is oops, sorry. There is quite a few different ways of melting. Okay, about 3 possible ways. One is using the microwave, where you can get both melted together, or you can melt each one apart. Secondly, it is a bain-marie method. That is the one that actually we're going to do it in here. Just going to kind of rinse that same pot that we were using before. Okay, a little bit of hot water in there. Okay, and I'm going to just put this in here because I don't need it that much, so I'm going to put my bowl in there. Then the other thing that once I'm warm up my bowl in here, I can put it in the microwave to melt it. Okay, each individually. If one thing, if I'm melting chocolate on a microwave, I would recommend always to go about 20 seconds out of a time. Okay, because what happens is usually with the microwaves, the chocolate will start melting from the inside to the outside. So what happens is sometimes we are not going to see that the chocolate is actually melting whenever we use the microwave until it kind of overdoes and sometimes gets a little bit of a burned bits of the chocolate. So if you do every 20 seconds or so and you start to kind of just go in there and melt a little bit, okay, then that is it is one way of doing it. The second way, it is through bain-marie, which we're going to be putting the chocolate in here, we're going to be putting the butter in here, and so on, so they will melt it together. Okay. The third method would be I could melt the butter, and then that actually it would be kind of the fastest one as well. I could melt the butter in a pot, and then just pour in the chocolate pellets in it, and start stirring until it kind of the temperature balances itself, and so then they have all balanced out there. So here goes my chocolate. Now my butter, and again let me just get my chopping board in here. I'm gonna put my knife. Let me just rinse my knife in here. I'm going to clean it later, but just do it in there. So in here I have my knife, and of course, you know, food safety always first, guys. So in here I have my white chopping board for me to do my butter in it. Okay, so just gonna get it in there. Can I put the whole block of butter in there? Yes, I can. But however, I find out that if you actually portion in smaller pieces, it will tend to melt a lot faster. Okay, so then can put it in there. My chocolate is already start to melt in there. Okay, so I just put it in there, and that's it. Okay. So again now, just get in there, really handy. Wash my hands. Now, again, here it's at home, so I only have enough sink to wash my hands. If I was on the kitchen or in at work, I would be in a professional kitchen or at work, I would be using a different sink to do that. So in here, now my chocolate is already melting. Okay, I think you guys can kind of see a little bit over in there. Just to turn it off in here. It's kind of nice and warm. Just going to start speeding up the process in here, all for the creaming the egg yolks. Now, as you guys can see, my chocolate is kind of really melted. There is a little bit of lumps of butter and all this stuff in there. So I'm just removing them. Just let it now in here. It will, the temperature of the bowl and the temperature of the chocolate, it will melt it all together now. And one thing is the bain-marie method. While sometimes it's a bit bothersome because you have to water, bowl, and wait, and it is a little bit more complicated. It is actually one of the most safe, kind of a foolproof sort of a method that we have in there for cooking, for melting, and combining different ingredients together, melting the fat, because it will prevent to burn. Okay, because the water boils at 100 degrees, right? So it warms up and warms the bowl. So actually, it will be really hard for the temperature of the chocolate itself and gets really, really high. Okay, so then we don't have that those kind of braininess whenever we eat the chocolate mousses or anything, and the chocolate hasn't been properly melted. It kind of gets a little bit grainy, and so in here as well, I'm creaming my egg white, my egg yolks with sugar until it gets really nice and creamy. Okay, it needs to get really nice and creamy there. So then I can start putting on slowly my egg whites. Okay, what you could do as well, you could whip up your egg whites into whipped egg whites, firm thicks, and then later on just kind of combining them all. But I just will do this way. It's kind of almost the same process. Okay, so here we are. There, wash that later on. And while my egg mixture is mixing and my chocolate is in there kind of waiting, I will get the molds that I need, okay? You only got the 2 molds in here, and I will do some more. So you got So in here, guys, now it is kind of whipped. Put it in there. And as you guys can see in here, or you can see in there, it is kind of whipped the eggs. And now I'm gonna start. It is quite of a liquidy, okay? So I'm gonna start to put it in there, and I will mix them, kind of folding as well, okay? Here. Now I'm gonna combine and fold them together. Okay. So scraping sides, scraping the bottom. Okay. And then you start kind of seeing the mixture kind of get it in there, getting combined. Now, why do I use the folding method? Okay, if any of you guys know, it is the folding method. It is a lot. It is one of the best methods for mixing, for combining, without remove most of the air that you incorporated. So whenever you want something that it is more light to the taste, or to the mixture, whenever you're incorporating air, and that is what we did whenever we beat the eggs together. Okay, whenever we are doing that, it is always better to use the folding method, or whenever you're doing a mousse or a cream. So then it kinds of keep a little bit of the aeration is still going on. If you are not, if it is just a mixing, then you can do it with the whisk, and put it in there. So in here, actually, now we can see my mixture is in there. It's kind of well mixed. Okay. Then we'll just put it in here. Got that is a Tamis, okay, but a seafood do. So I just put my flour in there. Okay. And again, now folding. It's just to give a little bit of a texture whenever it's baking on a structure. And again, because this is basically an egg mix, it's like almost like a souffle. Okay. So now, then in here, guys, crucial moment, right? Usually for us to bake or to do anything, this mixture needs to be really nice and cold, okay? So what I'm gonna do in here, just to speed up the process, okay? I will get a couple of these, put it in the freezer for a couple minutes until it kind of sets. But usually if you're doing a fondant, usually what you would do is you would put it in the fridge for about 5 to 6 hours. So if you are doing for like a dinner service, for instance, you do it in the morning and then let it sit. You can let it sit straight into the tins, okay? Or you can put it into a piping bag, like I'm gonna do here more, because actually I think I do have enough things in there, but actually I don't think I have enough space in the fridge for all those things. So I'm just gonna do 2 at a time. So gonna use a little bit of a butter in there, okay? Now, okay, I'll get the butter, spread all around the ramekin or the container or the mold that you have in here, okay? So you got it really nice and around all the surfaces and all. There, nice and coated. Then you can use cocoa or chocolate powder, or even if you want a flour. However, if you want a flour, usually the flour it will get because it's a really fast cooking process. Okay, it is no more than 10 no more. It's between 8 and 10 minutes cooking. So because it is a really fast sort of a cooking process, then I rather use cocoa or hot chocolate, you know, just to get it around. And one of my tips of doing this is I put a spoon of cocoa in there, okay? Then get it in around the edges, and then I start, as you guys can see in here, okay? Start going on the sides. Oops, a little bit spilled. So just put this one back in here. So just going on the sides in there. Right? And then I kind of just tap the excess into, then voila, nicely done. Okay? And then I just get the excess and I put inside of the next mold, and so on, so on. Also, what you could do, and I'm doing it here just for, I could use, okay, spray leaks, or if I'm using the spray leaks, I don't necessarily need to use the cocoa or the flour or anything, because the spray leaks itself will work as the hose that it needs for preventing this. But I will do one just for the sake of it, you know, one spray leaks and cocoa and we'll see which one later it's gonna be. It's gonna be the best. So now I'm just returning the unused cocoa. See, it doesn't look as good as, but here we are. I'm just returning the cocoa to the same container because it is at home and I'm cooking for myself, right? However, if you're doing that, you would just pour into a spare container and not reuse once it goes in there, because the fact that it can be contaminated or cross-contaminate something else. Okay, so in here we have our 4 molds. So we'll start pouring some down in here. Okay, but about halfway through, because as there is quite a lot of eggs and those eggs has been kind of mixed up, beaten together and mixed it, so they will expand. Okay, and because they will expand, they will go all over the place. So what we want to do here is just prevent that to go all over the place. So I just kind of go halfway through my molds. Always whenever we are doing baking anything that will rise quite a lot or we are using a lot, we never kind of go all the way full board. Okay. Otherwise we almost in there. Okay. Now I have a little bit of an extra in there for laying it on, or for tomorrow's dinner. So then I just kind of place it in there and put it is back in the fridge. And place it in the fridge in here for this. And those ones in here, because I'm just gonna cook them long. I'm gonna put the 2 of them here back in the freezer, just the 2. There we go. So basically that is our preparation done. I could have put a little bit of a vanilla extract if you want, or vanilla beans or anything like that, but I just think that it is not really necessary. My ice cream is kind of getting nice looking in there. I will show you guys in here just a moment. Just clean this chopping board in there. Okay, so I'm just gonna pause in here and adjust for you guys to see. So as you guys can see in here at home, right, it is started to get nice and glutinous kind of a looking. Okay, so it is almost a kind of ready. Another, I would say another 10 minutes or so, it should be quite ready. So put it in there, and then in 10 minutes, then you will have a little bit of sorbet in there. So again, just recapitulating everything that we need for the ingredients for the sorbet: water, sugar, glucose or honey or syrup. Usually that is if a corn syrup, it is quite good as well for especially for the texture that it will give. And then of course if you're using syrup or corn syrup, it is a vegan. If you're using honey, then it's not vegan anymore. So then we have as well the strawberries, but the strawberries could be blackberries, raspberries, bananas, or pretty much anything that you can imagine of. Okay, and the lemon to give a little bit in the case of the strawberries, because there is naturally a little bit of a pectin in there. If you're using like apples as well, because of the pectin in the apples, it will help us to thicken. You know, now if you are using an acidic preparation, or even if you're using lemon juice, then you don't need to add a little bit extra lemon juice, or in the case of you're using like the sorts of passion fruit. Okay, so you don't need to use that. You don't need to use the lemon, because the acidity itself, it will kind of balance it out, especially as well with the flavors later on. Okay, so in here my sorbet, it is almost quite nice and easy there. So I'm gonna just for you guys to have a little bit of a bite to eat with me, I will put one of those fondant into the oven. So I preheated the oven to a really high temperature. In this case, in here, it was 200 degrees. Okay, so put it in there, and then I will for about 8 minutes. Okay, so because this one is kind of a bit too liquidy, or it's not cool enough, so it might be about 8 minutes or so. Okay, let me just get a nice plate in here. Okay, we'll use this one. So have a nice good looking plate in there. Actually, let me see if I have a nice cannelled scoop in here. So meanwhile, just don't bother, guys. If you have any question, you can just speak loudly, or you can email me later on. Any questions? Okay. On the recorded version, it will appear on the screen, the email, so you can kind of send me a question in there. Okay. So this it will be. And let me just find the container. Now, if you guys could see, it is already starts rising in there, the chocolate fondant, and I think it will be kind of matched their preparations whenever they finish it all together in here. So then we're gonna have a nice bite to eat later on. James, any of you guys is still there?
Yeah.
Oh, good man. How are you guys doing? You're good then. Can you guys hear me all right? Yes? Sorry, so okay, just checking in here. So that's it, guys. Another 3 minutes or so, and then we should be ready to have a bite to eat. Meanwhile, if you guys don't mind, I will start doing some pot washing in there. Okay. So I'm just gonna kind of, that is, actually my wife just said that she's happy to have me doing this every week, so then I can clean the kitchen, you know, but I don't know if it's that gonna be fruitful. And then later on as well, I will share with you guys kind of, I know that probably the internet, the connection is not really good, so it's kind of breaking apart a little bit. But later on I will share the video with you guys, edit with multiple cameras, and then we kind of see how it goes. So let me just do. go, guys, right in here, and probably you guys can see it already, but in here, so it is kind of really ready to go. So you guys can see, isn't it? Kind of seeing here that the light is off, so the camera. So I'm just gonna put it in there. Okay, so really nice, good looking cake in there. So just got it in here. Okay, guys. So just a little bit of so in here, as you guys can see, a nice looking cake in there. If a little bit of a sorbet in here, and voila. Okay, so there we go. You can put a little bit of icing sugar on top if you wanna. Now, of course, we have to see if it is really good, right? And if it is what it tells on the tin. So in here, as you guys can see, the center, it is started to oozing. Of course, if it was colder, it would ooze a lot more. So, but again, it's in there. I just don't know which one is best now. Okay? Thank you guys for joining me today in class. Have a good one. Cheers, guys.